moments, which didn't satisfy me. So I kept on thinking about this for a long time. Why is India poor, right? So many other countries have been in our stage, like, they were under colonial rule and they got independence. But after that, they achieved a better quality of life. They became rich countries. There are many examples of this: Singapore, Japan, South Korea. But for some reason, we have not developed. We still call ourselves a developing country, not developed, developing. Right? So, what is the reason for this? I have a theory. My theory is it is because we have not matured as a society. The Indian society, we are quite immature. And the main way this immature manifests is selfishness. We are quite selfish as a society. Each individual in our society is quite selfish. It's not like we are the only selfish people in the whole world, right? Everybody is selfish. Like every country, the average human being is selfish. But we are much more selfish than the citizens of other countries, and that creates all the problems in poverty. So let me explain. Um, First of all, what exactly is poverty? We need to define it first before we try to understand the reasons behind it. What exactly is poverty? I will say poverty is basically the difference in quality of life in India versus rich countries. So it manifests in various ways. It starts with things like, we have a lot of beggars because, they are not able to get a job, because they're disabled or like whatever. We are not extremely merit based. Depending on, what kind of lottery you had on birth. For example, if you're born in a rich family, educated family, you get better jobs. If you're in the lower strata of society, you basically are not even aware about the jobs. So basically there is, joblessness, low productivity. People, even if you work really hard, we are not able to make as much money as people in other countries. There are also a lot of other issues in quality of life. For example, pollution, sound pollution, noise pollution, same thing, air pollution, um, lack of good infrastructure. We have to struggle, in traffic, going in bus and train. You must have seen the clips of Mumbai local, right? What kind of life is that? Going in a train like that every day, right? So much infrastructure problem, and also we have corruption in the government, across the country. All governments are corrupt across the world, but I think we are much more corrupt. Also, we see in how the companies in India treat us. Most companies in India don't care about customers. You just go to Reddit or Google, go and search for any company name and a feedback or survey. You will see complaints like crazy. It looks like every company here is out to get us, out to cheat us, right? So that again, I'll call as a poverty, and also lack of civic sense. How we treat each other in day-to-day life, that also is not good. Everywhere, when you see, people, how they drive in traffic, how people walk on the sidewalk, how people encroach into the sidewalk, and put up shops. Everywhere you have human interaction in India, there is lack of civic sense. People don't care about others. They just want to care about themselves, do whatever it takes. Even, if they want to come up in life, bringing down others is fine. Okay, so lack of civil, and also a lot of criminal behavior. I will say that also is part of poverty. We do have high crime rates, crime against women, crime against men, theft, so many things, right? Like we have to be always on guard, to make sure nobody doesn't take anything of us, right? So I think all of these things put together, we can call it as quality of life, and that is much lower here in India compared to other countries. So this is the definition of poverty. Basically, quality of life. Once you are born, how much do you have to struggle to live a decent life? I think we have to struggle a lot in India compared to other countries. That's why, a lot of us want to emigrate to US and Europe, because everybody knows, like, you don't have to struggle as much, in these countries. So what is the reason for this low quality of life? What is the reason, we have to struggle so much? So a lot of people have a lot of theories. One of the biggest theories is we have government corruption. Uh, the government here is so corrupt, and because of the government, the poverty is everywhere. But government is elected by us. They are basically representatives of us. They are basically us. I mean, we elect one of us to be in the government, right? So that is what everybody else does in the whole world, right? People elect a representative. So the government is actually a representative of us. So actually corruption in government is basically corruption in people. So the government is corrupt because the politicians are selfish. We are also selfish, right? So basically we can't blame the government. We have to blame ourselves, right? So basically corrupt government because people are corrupt. That is what I call selfishness. Apart from that, there are other theories. One more theory is colonial looting. The British took away all our money and all our assets. That's why we are poor. That is not at all a good theory, because what did they loot? And like, even if you can say, they took away our Kohinoor, our diamonds, and they subjugated us and extracted economic wealth. All that is true, but they left in 1947. It's been a long time since they left, right? We should have brought ourselves up, and so many countries have come up, after extreme colonial rule, after losing a war, completely decimated. Japan was decimated after Second World War, but they were able to come up, right? Even Singapore, Korea, South Korea, right? So I don't think that is a good explanation at all. Colonial looting happened, but it is over. It's been long time over. What else? By the way, I have notes to read so that I don't forget stuff. So yeah, so forgive me if my eyes slightly wander a little bit. Okay. Yeah, and also some people say that to be rich, to be a rich country, you need natural resources, because there are examples like the Gulf, Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, all these countries became rich through oil, right? Yeah, so that is one way you can become rich, but unfortunately that is not in our hand. Yeah, we don't have natural resources, so what can we do about that, right? And there are also a lot of countries who don't have natural resources who are still rich countries, right? So it is not dependent on that. If it's there, good, but I don't think actually, even if it is there, it's guaranteed. Like you can see Venezuela, they are one of the biggest oil rich countries in the world, but they are not rich, right? So I don't think there's any correlation between natural resources and a country's richness. So I think it comes down to selfishness. We are quite immature. We are quite selfish. This is very similar to parenting. When children, when they are born, they're actually quite selfish. But with parenting, they slowly learn to be less selfish, and then they become part of society, because in society you cannot survive if you are too selfish. Yeah, we are slightly selfish, but not too selfish that society itself collapses. We do need some sort of cooperation to prosper or to even maintain stability in society. Right? So what happens is, when we are selfish, we don't cooperate. Instead of bring each other up, we actively bring each other down, and that creates all the problems. Okay, so for example, let's start with the government, right? We elect the government, and the government are as selfish as the people who elected them. Okay? So instead of doing things which is for the good of public, they do things which is good for them. They want to get re-elected. They want to take away money. They want to, if they have any infrastructure project, they'll try to take much of this for their own benefit, right? So government is corrupt. Government is selfish because people are selfish. Similarly, companies, who runs these companies? Any startup or any big company you take, they're all run by people like us. So they're like as selfish as us. They don't want to, give good experience. They basically want to figure out how can we make more and more money by giving less and less quality of product and service. Okay, so that, and obviously civic sense also. We see lack of civic sense everywhere because people are selfish. So selfishness is the reason. And this applies to every poor country in the world. My theory is the public are immature or selfish, because of which they remain poverty. So, what caused this selfishness? I don't think it's like genetic or like as a race, we are selfish, nothing like that. All human beings are same. So, my theory is it is the British Raj, the British subjugation of our society for like 200 years. Basically, it completely destroyed our humanity. We became like slaves, doing only things which the British wanted us to do. It completely robbed us of humanity. We became like leeches. Basically, we were subjugated so much that we lost all respect for ourselves and each other. Basically, the analogy is if somebody is struggling in life, right, they cannot be good people. Because of the struggle, they don't have the mind space or the energy to be good because they are struggling. Okay, similarly, kids also, right? For kids, the whole world seems intimidating. That is why they are mean. Okay, so if you are not, if you are under stress and under subjugation, basically we lost our humanity and we became mentally weak. Okay. So what has happened is, once the British left us, our mentality remained. Okay, this poverty mindset or lack of maturity or selfishness, it remained because we created democracy, and we basically elected one of us. Okay, so basically it became a loop. Okay, so we elect people who govern us, and they are as selfish as us. So basically, there is nobody in a leadership position who can actually bring us up, who can parent us into good human beings. So government has this job of being a parent of society. So to come out of things like this, government has to do its work. And that is exactly what happened in the case of Singapore. Singapore, after gaining independence from Malaysia, they were actually in quite bad state. But the founder, who was basically Lee Kuan Yew, he was basically a benevolent dictator. He was a benevolent dictator, meaning he was a dictator, but he was benevolent, meaning he wanted to do well for his country. He wanted his country to come up. He was not a selfish guy. He was basically dictator who was benevolent. Okay, this is exactly what we need in India. We need a dictator, meaning someone who has a lot of power, but who doesn't misuse the power, who uses the power to bring discipline in us and basically make us mature. This is exactly what good parenting does. There are good parents and bad parents. Bad parents are either too strict or too lenient. Okay, both are problems. If you're too strict, your kids will grow up, scared and weak. Everything will seem intimidating to them. But if you're too lenient, then again, the kids don't build strength to face the toughness of life. So a good parent is someone in between. They are not like too lenient or too strict. They are basically benevolent dictators, right? So, which is exactly what we need, which we never got. We only have our own representatives, and none of the leaders which we had so far have been benevolent. They're slightly, good for people, but it is not good enough. They are, I will say, more lenient than strict. They basically want to get re-elected, so they'll do what people want them to do. That is exactly not good parenting. A parent should not do what the kid wants. The parent should do what is good for the kid. And often the kid will not like what the parent is doing, right? So that's exactly what we need. So if we get a good benevolent dictator, they will bring in discipline. They will enforce cooperation in us. They will make us cooperate by force. Okay? They will make us treat each other well by force. Once we, once we are forced to do this, okay, then we will see the benefits of doing it, and that will become a positive loop, and that's the way to come out of it. Like in Singapore, I think Lee Kuan Yew was the one dictator, and after that they don't have like big dictators, but the system he put in place has made sure that that society will remain stable. It will remain a selfless society where people cooperate with each other. So even one generation, or just one leader who is benevolent and who does the right thing, that's all we need. We will eventually, once we get a leader, permanently will come up. And every problem you see in quality of life will be fixed, because all these problems are fixed by people, and we have people. Just that they're not doing the work which will improve the quality of our life. Everybody is trying to take care of themselves, so everybody suffers. But just imagine, we have so much people, right? If each person is given a task to somehow better a society, our society will be way up there. It will be the best country in the whole world. We have the things, we have the resources, just that our mindset is like a virus which has infected us, and we have lost immunity. So we are basically in the middle of a disease, and to come out of it, you need a force, and we are still waiting for that force. Okay, that's enough for now. Bye.